talking about how you made that beat, and it definitely speaks to what we were talking about before about how much work goes into them, or went into them back then.
Oh yeah, the stakes were high. Like just to get a bass note, to pitch the bass note, that can take you, 10 minutes just to get the note to fit with the rest of your samples. You know what I mean? To get that note in pitch, you would have to play with it and use your ear, and then time it. I got to give a shout out to 6'2". 6'2" is the one that sold me that sample. It gave me a good deal on it, and I was gone. Yeah, I was out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you started making like beats and rapping and that, were you creative in other ways before that? Were you already someone who was singing or making things? Was there outlet creatively, or was that the first thing you kind of seized on it and let that creative side out?
I think of the influence in the household. Growing up, my mother's a singer. They had a band. They had a band since before I was born. I was born into it, and I used to run from music.
Really?
Because they were so intense with it.
Right.
With wires all over the house and whatnot. Yeah, I used to run from it and try to get out there and play basketball, baseball.
Right.
And then it just, you start hearing things, and things start striking a nerve here, and then you start dabbling. My little brother's the same way. Like he used to run from the music, and now he's out here singing and
Right.
putting stuff together. Right.
Can you tell me about the first time you ever felt kind of amazed by like where you were, like you're around somebody or you're at a show and like you're like, wow, this is happening. Like, maybe the first time you were on stage and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of people that want this or that know me, or the first time you kind of push back a bit on stage, like, whoa.
Man, I think maybe I would say it was ECMA. Simple ECMA showcase. They gave us the main stage. We went on with a live band. I kind of wanted to go with the more chop sample sound. I wanted to go on with a DJ. And then I decided to take a gamble. And yeah, they called us back. They gave us an encore and everything. And that's when I said, wow, this stuff here is, that's where I felt that magic.
Yeah.
I went back to the dressing room. And they're like, get the back over here. They're calling us back. And I said, well, okay, well, wait a minute. Now, I didn't know.
What do we do now?
Yeah, what do I do now? Like, yeah. So that was the magic where I felt, where I felt that pulse. Right.
Has there been can you tell me about a time where you worked with somebody that you kind of had to stop and go, wow, I can't believe I'm working with this person? I heard you talking a little bit about Masta Ace when we were...
Yeah, well, like I said, at that Marley Marr album, In Control Volume 1, he was one of my favorites on that album. Actually, I thought he was a lot older than me at the time, but he ain't even that much older than me. These guys were just as young as me. Yeah. Well, maybe a couple of years older, but I was amazed. Anon calls me and he says, listen, man, Masta Ace is going to be here. Are you ready to go? And I'm like, yeah, sure. What do you want to do? He's like, I need a verse. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And when is he going to be here? And I was sitting in the room I had called Strep Throat. Ooh. And he's such a humble cat. What a kind gentleman. He went and got me green tea. He
Masta Ace?
Masta Ace, man. And I was like, and I didn't want to be like all up in him like that. Yeah. Like, man, do you know how happy I am just to sit here with you, right? Like, I used to listen to his stuff on repeat all the time, right? So that was a magical moment for me. Damn. Yeah, Masta Ace, and some of the young guys don't know about him, but a lot of people who know hip-hop know Masta Ace.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's an ace.
So have you always been quick with the lyrics? Like you were talking earlier with Bucky, it's like you sent me the track at 7:30 or something, you're back to them with like, here's my verse at 11. Have you always been, been able to, like in the Masta Ace story, I need a verse. It's like, do you have them sitting there waiting, or like, how do you go about giving us what we hear? Do you write all the time, or do you just write to beats, or how do you do that?
I usually don't, write on paper. I usually try to say them into a little recorder, ideas that come up. And what I try to do is I try to catch the feeling, how I feel at that time. Because you can say something, you can say words, but how you felt when you said, how you felt when you were saying them is more important. Right. I find anyway. So. No, 100%. And a movie, sometimes it takes me, 3 days to finish a verse, and sometimes it takes me about 10 minutes. Right. It just depends on how you feel. Yeah. And that's how and that's my formula. If it's not working, you leave it alone. If it's working, you go with it.
Right. After all this time making music, when you get, like, say I gave you a brand new beat today, do you find yourself going like, oh, can't go that way, I've been there before too many times? Or like, do you find yourself trying to sidestep things that Trobiz does to find a new Trobiz, or is it?
If someone else gives me music?
Yeah.
No, I can work with it.
Yeah.
I find I have an easier time working with other people's music
Then making your own for you?
than rhyming on my own stuff, because you get somebody else's vibe and ideas and their creativity, and then you kind of fall right into where they're at, right? As opposed to building your whole house and putting windows in it and putting the drywall down, and sometimes it's good to have all that there and just live in it.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Decorate it instead of build it in.